Hi, welcome to this event. I'm really happy to be here. Plant-based passion is my second biggest passion after female sexuality. I've been a female sexuality content creator for 15 years. I tend to speak quite quietly, so if you can't hear me, just let me know. Is that okay for volume?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I'm really happy to share my plant-based passion with you tonight. And I would like to share with you Barcelona's thriving vegan scene. Often people are surprised when they hear about how important Barcelona is on the world vegan stage. And I'm here to hopefully inform you and inspire you to discover it for yourselves. Let's go to the next slide, please. So, about my aims. I've been vegan now for six years this month. Before then, I was vegetarian for most of my life. I've never liked meat, but I'll go into my story a bit later on. But I want to be very clear that my aims are to encourage people to eat more plants. So I do support flexitarians and people who want to reduce meat. And I want to help people discover the thriving vegan scene in Barcelona, because not everyone wants to eat meat with every dish. You know, sometimes you might want to have a break and try something different as well. But my aim is not to make everyone vegan. I think vegans have a really bad reputation sometimes, and sometimes the word vegan can be very problematic. For example, for me, if I see a place that says vegan, I'm like, oh, I know there's no meat in the kitchen. Whereas other people will think, oh, they're going to criticize me or point the finger because I'm eating meat. And that's not what I'm about at all, because my mission is to really share my plant-based passion, especially with people who eat meat, and with love and light all the time. So that's my mission for this evening. Let's go to the next slide. Barcelona. Did you know that Barcelona is the third most vegan city in the world according to Happy Cow? Isn't that amazing? Is anyone surprised by this?
Yes.
A little surprised.
Yeah? Okay. Would you like to share why it's surprising?
Because it's,
Come on.
controversial, but it's in Spain.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Anyone else very surprised by this?
Of course, I mean, Catalan food, Butifarra, Fuet, all of this is all good stuff. Right?
Yeah. Also, I think for me, I've never been to a calçotada. I mean, I've been to them, but I thought it's a lot of effort for not much reward, and that's vegan. So there are some things that are vegan already. But yeah, normally if you go to most, would you like to say something?
Which is number one? Just curious.
It's London and Berlin.
Those are
So,
surprising.
I mean,
So
that's quite-
it's European, I suppose.
Sorry?
Is it like a European style?
No, it's actually a worldwide one. And according to Happy Cow, do you know Happy Cow?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. Let's go to the next slide, please. So when it comes to this is how it was, this list was according to fastest growing, how many vegan businesses, etc. And what Happy Cow found was that when it comes to vegan friendliness, Barcelona is arguably the fastest growing city on this list. That doesn't just mean vegan establishments, but establishments that have vegan options. That's very important as well, because sometimes if you're going somewhere with someone who doesn't eat, who's not a vegan, you might want to go somewhere like Honest Greens or Flax and Kale, where each person can get what they want. Okay, next slide. So this growth in Barcelona, 173% growth of vegan-friendly businesses in this city. Isn't that incredible? I'll go into it later. Okay, 58 fully vegan restaurants within the city centre. Isn't that incredible? 58? Are you familiar with the vegan restaurants in the centre? Anyone? Any favourites? Vegetalia, okay.
Gaia Santo.
Gaia Santo in Gracia. Any
There's
more?
another one in Marina.
I need to go there, because that looks nicer.
It's really good.
Yeah? The
Yeah.
same menu?
Similar, but they've got vegan brunch as well with the faux egg.
Nice.
Yeah.
Any more?
I like hot stock because
Okay.
it's also celiac friendly. So for me, it's
Okay.
like,
Gluten-free, yeah.
mhm.
Amazing. Well, we're going.
Roots and rolls.
Oh yeah, roots and rolls. They just won an award actually for sustainability. Okay, so next, 116 vegan businesses, including but not limited to restaurants. So that could be cosmetic shops, even some hairdressers and things like that. And then 894 vegan-friendly listings in total on Happy Cow. Isn't that incredible? So let's go to the next slide. So Happy Cow is amazing. It's if you're a vegan or if you're interested in veganism and you travel, this is the app to download. I think there's a one-time payment of about €4. But let's say if you're traveling, you can just see where the vegan restaurants are near you, and you can be guided to them. You see all the ratings, which ones are open now. You can see pictures of the food. Whenever I travel, this is a real godsend for me, Happy Cow. And even in Barcelona, it's always good to find out where these new places are. And I love to go on Happy Cow and just see, oh, new place I haven't been to. Because what happens to me, I end up going to the same places over and over and ordering exactly the same dish. Because it's as a vegan, I'm not really used to going to a restaurant and just having choice. You know, that's a very strange feeling. If I go to a normal restaurant, then it's always you know, pan con tomate and bravas. You know, so it's quite predictable. But when you have choice, it's something that we're not quite used to. So if you are interested in veganism in Barcelona or anywhere else in the world, I would highly recommend downloading this app. It's really a wealth of information, and it's considered the #1 vegan app. Okay. Food as activism. Going back to what I was alluding to about problematic vegans, I think among vegans, even among feminists, sometimes that people don't quite agree on what is the best way to spread this message. Is it through showing, you know, pictures of slaughterhouses? Is it through delicious food? Or is it through just being angry? You know, I think different messages work for different people, and there are many ways or many motivations behind being veganism. But in the vegan events that I organise, which I will reveal more later on, I've had a lot of discussions with people who don't quite agree with me, that they don't think that food is activism. They think food is just having a nice time. But I believe that if you are enjoying what you eat, it might help you. Next time you go to the supermarket, you might think, oh, I had this nice vegan cheese once, I'm going to try it again. So it could help you become more flexitarian or eat more of a plant-based diet, even without going entirely vegan. So I do believe that, because food is part of our culture, food is fun and it's pleasure. So having new ways of discovering pleasure, culture and togetherness through food it can be a very powerful form of activism. It can definitely change people's attitudes. Let's go to the next slide. There was a fantastic, everyone has a favourite vegan documentary. Do you have any you'd like to mention?
I will mention it after, but
Okay.
it's a new one. It's called Food for Profit.
Oh, okay, interesting. Any more? Any more?
What the hell?
What the hell? That's really good.
Forks over knives.
Okay, that's amazing.
It's really good at Fork Ranger.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Oh, it's really amazing. Dutch-based, talks about it.
Okay. Great. So I wanted to talk about, this is one that's in the UK. It's a very interesting concept. It was called Meet the Family. So it took 4 meat-loving families to care for various farm animals for several weeks. And at the end they say, do you want to eat them or do you want to save them? It was such good viewing. It's incredible to watch. And what was really clear about this is that when these families watched all these slaughterhouse videos, they were like, oh my God, it's terrible. But they didn't know how to make delicious food for their families. That's why food as activism is really important, because people were still kind of attached to that Sunday roast, all of the things that they've been enjoying for years and years. And when they had salad, it just wasn't the same. So I think it's really important to actually discover tasty ways of eating. And yeah, it was horrible. The birds at the end, they were like the chickens. They were all crying, like the kids. It's a very interesting concept. Another one called Veganville. This is very interesting. They take 5 different vegan influencers with different approaches. We've got Joey Carbstrong. You know Joey Carbstrong? He's a very kind of angry vegan. And then you get someone who is a foodie, 2 girls who are foodies, and then one guy who's a bodybuilder. And they all went to this town in South Wales, which is a very meat-eating town, and they tried to see which approach works the best. So you've got people doing the Cube of Truth, slaughterhouses, getting very angry, having speeches and informing about the cruelty in the meat production. But then the 2 foodies went to the local university and managed to get a vegan option on the menu permanently. So it just proves that food as activism had the biggest impact. So this is why I think food is very important. Okay, next. Okay, so people go vegan for the animals, for the planet, for health. I didn't do veganism for any of that reasons, personally. Let's go to the next one. A little bit about my story. When I'm an Irish Catholic. No, I'm not now, but I was brought up Irish Catholic. So if any of you familiar with that culture, it's just potatoes, potatoes, potatoes every single day. I never had pasta until I was 12, and I was like, what is this? This is plastic. It's just weird. So I remember I was very fussy. And then I've never eaten fish in my life, so my parents were just going insane with me. They didn't know how to feed me. So they were very worried. Then I discovered pizza at 16, and I discovered that through pizza you can put any vegetables on it and it's still nice. So that kind of helped me become ovo-lacto-vegetarian. And it was really cool because every time I went to someone's house for dinner, I would get special treatment and get special dishes. They were pandering to my fussiness. But then it was in 2016, I was looking at vegan YouTube, and that was kind of a good moment for vegan YouTube. I don't know if you're familiar with Freely the Banana Girl and all of these kind of crazy people. And I started to learn a bit more about the dairy industry to the point where I was like, oh, I was never really, I don't consider myself to be an animal lover, but I was just like disgusted by some of the things that I learned about dairy. And I tried to kind of reduce my dairy over time as I learned more about it. And it's very, very, very hard. I mean, it's very hard, you know, that brunch and cake place, the Red Velvet, that was really hard. I used to go every Friday, and that was the last thing I removed from my diet. But then it was about 6 years ago, I went completely vegan, and ever since I've found really good replacements for all of those things that I loved so much. Let's go. And now I have been organising, I'm the leader of Barcelona Vegan Community on Meetup, if you would like to join us. I'm looking for more event organisers. This is a group of 3,200 people, so there's lots of vegans. And we do, my events are usually around eating, but there are other people who want to do more kind of animal activism things if anyone's interested. So look us up on Meetup, and I want to have some more people helping me because it's a big endeavour to do alone. And the next slide, please. I also created this group called Barcelona Conscious Connections because I'm also spiritual and sober, and I wanted to create a social life for people who don't drink alcohol. And because I have all these contacts with vegan restaurants in Barcelona, I thought that I would create these events in vegan restaurants. And I just hope that no one will complain because the people who come to these events are not vegan. So I remember the first time I went to Amare Marina, which is now closed, and people were like, everyone loved the food, and I was like, oh, wow. So I just thought it's really powerful to bring people to try vegan sushi and vegan pizza, and people who are eating meat and they're like, wow, this is really good. That's a testament of a really good vegan restaurant, in my opinion, is when someone who's not vegan really enjoys it. So that's my mission with this group. And we also do spiritual networking. Okay, next one. I'm also a podcast host. I'm a YouTuber, and I make content about sexuality mainly. But obviously we're on the topic of pleasure, so this is very, very aligned. I have a podcast called The Orgasmic Lifestyle, which is about reaching climax in all areas of life. And food is one of them. So I talk about books, sports, beauty, food, romance. So recently I interviewed Dr. Michael Greger, who is God, basically, if anyone is familiar with him. He is the author of How Not to Age, and more recently, How Not to Age more recently, but his big book is How Not to Die. It's a big best-selling book, and it's very interesting about vegan nutrition. And then I also interviewed Dr. Joel Furman, who's in Forks Over Knives. He talks about nutritarianism. So he talks about having volume eating, having big salads like full of nutrition and not having empty calories. So it's really interesting to actually speak to these people who are really highly esteemed in the vegan world. And then, so Barcelona's vegan scene, it's very hard for me to actually choose my top 10. But here are my top 10, not really in any order, but Roots and Rolls has to be my #1 go-to. It's a vegan sushi place which has a very nice inside. It's in Consell de Cent with Girona, so it's in that place which is all what's it called? Pedestrian right now. It's a very cool place. And then next place, Veganashi. Do you know Veganashi, anyone? Veganashi? No? It's another vegan sushi place. And the two girls who have started it, they're very devoted to the sustainability cause. So they have everything is sustainable. There's no sugar as well, and everything is plastic free, and it's really delicious. Another one, Desoriente, is something I love. Do you know Desoriente? It's an Asian fusion restaurant in Poblenou. So you get things like mixes of food, fusions from all over Asia. And then they are also the owners of Blue Bar. You know Blue Bar?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the same owner of Desoriente. So Blue Bar is, they have incredible pizzas. Okay, and then, does that mean 5 minutes?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay. Okay, so we've got some great places for me to take a picture. And then next slide, please. Tasting is believing. So tonight, the hardest thing to give up if you are going vegan is cheese. No doubt about that. And that's why tonight we are with Veggie Karma. And many times vegan cheese is made with coconut oil or cashews, but this is made with lupini beans and cashews. So you'll have the chance to taste this. And many people I know who are not vegan think it's actually better than cow milk cheese. So this is actually a very powerful statement, and I hope you agree with me on that. Next. So yeah, connect with me, come to my events, and try the cheese.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, Q&A. Any questions?
You talked about the 3 ways of activism, right?
Mhm.
Being angry was one of them, and it made me wonder because I run in a circle where there are a lot of vegans.
Okay.
And then when they are interacting with people who are not vegan, I see that there is this judgment
Okay.
and holier than thou attitude that comes with being vegan, and it can be really off-putting for the people who are not vegan, and they probably wouldn't try anything being vegan even if they wanted because of that attitude. What do you think is the best way of and the most effective way of actually influencing people to try something that they haven't tried without being judgmental and coming from that, pedestal?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. I think something like trying the vegan cheese, something like that. Maybe just saying plant-based is sometimes a better term. Yeah, I think for me it's food, or even some cosmetics that's usually made with bees or something like that. But I think food is just, it's so special, and something that's making me feel good and it's tasting good, and you might want more of it. Every time I buy a Veggie Karma, I eat it in one day, so it's kind of dangerous. So I think, and maybe not using the word vegan sometimes because it can be controversial. And I think we should always remember that no one's perfect, because veganism's not perfect either. I had a t-shirt once said vegan, cruelty free, and now I don't wear it anymore because you don't know what's coming in the chain of food. You don't know what's behind, or if it's genuinely cruelty free. So I think it's less judgment because no one's perfect, and just more deliciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made me sort of think a little bit about mindful eating and conscious eating, because that's how I've gradually become more and more plant-based. I really started sort of tasting my food and eating it mindfully, and it made me much more conscious of where it came from and like pleasure of eating food. It really helped me to sort of move along that journey. I wonder if you thought about that connection and how it could help people to become more mindful and move more towards plant-based.
Well, for me, I actually put nice music on when I'm making food, because I think it's like an act of love. And also I think it's good not to be watching TV, just to kind of really have that moment of silence. I went to a retreat once and breakfast was in silence, and I still remember the taste of the tomatoes, because I was just focusing on what they tasted like. So I think slowing down and just and silence is probably the answer.
I'm curious how you have reapproached festivals. Usually festivals, at least for me, are centered quite around meat. And of course it's possible to find plant-based alternatives, but sometimes meat has a big part to play in how the festival is celebrated. So in your experience, or maybe in your events, how have you approached this?
We're talking what kind of festival, like music festivals?
Oh no, sorry, I should have clarified. Cultural festival, like Christmas, for an example, or Eid, like Hari Raya.
But I just have it making vegan. Because I've met vegan people through my events, and we just have vegan food at my place. Or I have an annual vegan Christmas dinner at Roots and Rolls. So I've really veganized all these festivals. And for me, because I'm not doing it for ethics, I'm doing it for food. So for me, there's no inner conflict. I want that, but I can't. And I think people who choose it for ethics have that conflict, and they're the more likely to go back to eating meat, but not me, because I've never liked it. I just think, ugh. So I think it depends on how much it's part of your identity. So for me, and I've heard of people going, oh, I went to Poland in you know, the rural parts, I had to eat fish because there was nothing left, nothing else. But if I went there, I wouldn't be eating fish, I'd be eating bread or something, you know, because it's just such a big part of who I am. So it's just used to having these menus where you have one choice. Or, yeah. Any more questions?
All right.
You want to try the cheese?
Yeah. Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.